heartfelt commitment to his role at Let's Win Pancreatic Cancer, enhancing support for patients and their families. Thank you, Mike, for being here today. I hope I got everything in there. You have a long list in your bio. It was really great, but I
Thank
hope I
you.
covered the majority of it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Those are the important points.
There we go. Let's try it again. Did we get him there? Let's try the volume here.
I couldn't hear him, but
Let's try.
Oh,
There we go. My fault.
yes. Hi. You got it. You got it perfectly, Roberta. Those were the important points. So thank you for that.
oh, good. Thank you. Like I said, it was a wonderful bio, and I just didn't want to leave anything out because you're such a great advocate and really out there enforcing and just doing what you can, and we greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Can you share your story with Jackie's journey with pancreatic cancer and how it influenced your decision to become deeply more involved with Let's Win? But maybe first off, let's just talk about Jackie and her journey and what you went through with her.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking and for the opportunity to honor Jackie by participating here. So Jackie, I'll use her formal name temporarily here, Jacqueline Hope Greenstein, and I emphasize the Hope because of the Living Hope podcast, but also because it's synonymous with the way I think about pancreatic cancer, but also things in general more and more. Jackie, I'll still say is my older sister. Um, I'm the middle guy. I have a younger brother, Robert, and so you go along life, and I'm jumping way ahead um, to a relatively happy childhood and the different directions that we went. In 2017, around 2017 in the fall, I still remember getting the phone call from Jackie. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She wasn't feeling well for a while, and ultimately got that diagnosis. And Jackie didn't have a partner or kids. She was single, um, and so it was naturally harder for her because she didn't have immediate sort of the nuclear family support around her. So myself and my brother Robert, um, really, and our families, our wives and kids, really became her direct support caregivers. And I want to acknowledge Robert because he did more than his fair share. Jackie often stayed at his house with his wife and family, and they were very close as well. So, 2017, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. We were fortunate to, through a relationship with Cindy Gavin, who I used to work with, who's the executive director of Let's Win, find a way to an amazing person and Dr. Allison Ocean, who's also on the board of Let's Win. And they just became fast friends, and that's just the way Jackie is, and that's the way Allison is. And the treatment initially, standard of care treatment initially seemed to work, and within a year or so, um, with some wear and tear, obviously, she everything that was lighting up sort of had shut down, and she went back to work. She went back to work with a career that she found later in her life as a teacher, and really became a calling for her, and that was her joy. Unfortunately, that didn't last as long as we want, and then uh, the tumors returned, were lit up. We were able to get ourselves into a trial at Penn down in Philly, which I happened to be today for other reasons, and that also worked for a while. But unfortunately, in early February of 2020, Jackie passed, and so it was about 3 years, a little less than 3 years for her. Um, and she throughout the whole time was a fighter and an advocate for others facing pancreatic cancer. She made some good friends also who were dealing with the disease, and things that they could share with each other that frankly as much as we couldn't possibly, be in her shoes. Um, so yeah, I look back on that with a lot in my ongoing work for pancreatic cancer, and frankly, just as a brother and as a son of our parents who are still alive, 93 and 88 years old. And obviously, as much as it's hard for my brother and myself and our families, it's particularly hard for our parents.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, as a parent, we think, no parent should have to bury their child. So I really, I have not been in that place, but I have talked to many who have, and it's just something that we can't understand or go through, and hopefully don't have to. But I do appreciate you sharing Jackie's story, and her middle name actually resonated with me as well. It really attracted my attention when I was researching her and saw that. I thought, oh my God, that's just a perfect name from what, a middle name from what I was hearing about her and stuff. So thank you for sharing that. But I know as a caregiver, because I was a caregiver for my mom and my dad, so I know how it can be difficult, the significant changes and stuff that you face. What changes did you face and how did you manage them?
Yeah. Again, I'm speaking. I'll say I'm speaking on behalf of my brother also because he did again more than his fair share. Um, there was a time when one of the big lessons for me was in a conversation with a social worker who Jackie also became very close to, Lauren Schaefer, and um, I'll admit that I'm not proud to admit it now that we were sort of complaining that Jackie wasn't eating enough and she maybe wasn't trying hard enough to eat, and Lauren. So I have to pause sometimes.
It's
Um,
okay.
um, Lauren reminded me or enlightened me that we bring our relationship to the disease. We bring our relationship to the disease, and that really informed maybe how I or we were approaching our conversations with Jackie and maybe how she was perceiving them. She's our older sister, and whatever perceptions we had about what she did or what she didn't do and how hard she tried or how hard she didn't try, or the younger brothers who thought they knew better, whatever those sibling things are, right? And everyone has different versions of that was manifesting itself in our conversations and in sort of the way that we approached and perceived her needs. And it really reminded me um, to step back from that. And I'm sure you had your own version of that with parents, right? Parent child relationship. But it really reminded me that what I um, try to live is what I've heard referred to as the platinum rule. The golden rule is do unto others as you want to do unto yourself. The platinum rule is, to essentially treat other people the way they want to be treated, right? Not necessarily the way you would be, but the way they want to be treated. And that requires really to listen and to understand. And at times push and encourage, certainly, but also at times back away and not think you know better because you can't possibly know what someone's going through. Can't possibly know. Of course, it seems easy just to drink fluids and stay hydrated, but sometimes it's hard to do that, and we can't possibly know that. So to I guess that's approaching it with both humility and empathy to make sure that we're treating the patient the way they want to be treated.
It's difficult, because like I say, you're trying to do the best you can, and my being on both sides of the fence, so to say, being the patient and also the caregiver. The caregiver is much harder. I mean, it's a much harder position to be in, to try because you're trying to do everything you can to help them through. But like you say, if you're not experiencing it, you don't understand. And I think I did probably a much better job with my mom than I did with my dad, though with my dad, we didn't have as much time. But being the patient and then having to take care of my mom, it gave me a different insight. And I know eating is always a big challenge. And you kind of have to learn that you kind of sometimes have to back away and just do the best you can. But I agree. You just have to do the best you can. And I'm sure, she appreciated even though they were the little brothers taking on the big brother role at that time.
Yeah,
Because the support that the caregivers that you guys give us is really, really important. And that's what really, I think, helps us get through probably 90% of what we go through.
yeah,
So I thank you for doing that with her. I'm sure, like I said, she appreciated it, even though she may not have always shown it. I'm sure she did. But can you give what tips would you be able to give to other caregivers that are going through the same thing?
yeah. Um, I'm not sure I have any like things that I haven't, been written about a lot, but I think it really for us is um, maybe I'm going to start with the caregiver. Take care of yourself, right? And I know that's the last thing you want to think about. Um, but it is true that the more you're there for yourself, the more you could be there for other people. And as much as you want to be completely selfless about things, you have other commitments and responsibilities and emotions. Um, and so to be gentle with yourself, you're not perfect either. And you need to take care of yourself. I was speaking to a caregiver the other day. I do some volunteer work at a hospital, really as a pay it forward for the support that we received. And the mom was talking about how she hasn't gone to any of her doctor's appointments, and she isn't, has her own health issues. And, it's important. The patient would want the caregiver to take care of themselves. So I think that's really important. I know it's an obvious point, but it's really hard to do. I think in terms of eating and food, like, how I would approach it for me is not necessarily the way and the things that I want for myself goes back to maybe the platinum rule, and not necessarily what other people connect to. Like, I'm a meditator. I like to read about stuff, you know, I eat a certain way. And, Jackie didn't want to do any of that. Um, we could suggest, but know when to back away. She, um, and really whatever they eat is fine. Calories are calories. So give them something that, regardless of what it is, when you think it should be this, but they want that, then go with that. Calories are important. So I think really just listening again, encouraging, but stopping short of creating negativity around the support that you think is best for them.
Yeah, it is important as a caregiver, like you say, and it's hard for us to do. And for me, it's really great. I can give really great advice, but that doesn't mean I always follow it. But if you can't take care of yourself, you're not taking care of yourself. You're not going to be able to take care of the person you really want to be there for. So you have to take that time, whether it's walk away, take a walk, read a book, whatever it is. Take those moments and refresh yourself so you can come back and be the caregiver that you want or the person you want to be with your loved one. So,
Yeah.
and eating from my mom, which was funny, as she mentioned, because we would, try to get her to eat, of course, but we were using a regular sized dinner plate. And she said it just looks so overwhelming. So we actually
Mm-hmm.
went to a dessert plate. I know it sounds probably funny, but she was able to at least look at that and think, I can conquer that, but I can't conquer that big old plate. So just little bites. We had, nuts, whatever. I mean, she was a big candy fan. Let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you, I wish I could eat the See's candy like she could. But
Yeah.
calories can be important because you need to keep that weight on, and especially when they're going through the treatment. Was she doing the traditional, was she doing chemo? Had she had surgery or was she inoperable?
Inoperable. Yeah. So she was going through chemo, um, and uh, and then later some radiation treatment, but no surgery. She wasn't able to have surgery. Yeah.
How has your personal experience as Jackie's caregiver shaped your approach as your role on the board for Let's Win?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So it's actually, you asked a question I don't know the answer to. What came first? Like, I may have gotten involved with Let's Win even before, or maybe around the same time, or maybe it was after. And the reason I'm struggling with that is because I knew Cindy Gavin, 20 years ago. We used to work together, and I guess it was after. So after Jackie got diagnosed, because of my involvement and knowing Cindy, they asked me to join the board, which I was honored to do. Interestingly, Cindy and Jackie knew each other. Jackie taught at the school where Cindy's kids went,
Mm.
so they had their own relationship. Um, but it really has, it is really the way for me to honor Jackie and all patients, and all caregivers, and it's allowed me to approach the role through a caregiver lens, but also um, in a way that amplifies the patient voice. And so this because you participate, but we stood up a patient advisory board that we didn't historically have, and you participate in that, and as well as maybe a dozen other um, patients, and it has so enriched our understanding and strategic goals, to be honest with you, to really understand through the patient's story, and not just my sister's story, but through various stories, what's important, what the needs are, how to present information, how to make it actionable. And so it really has amplified the patient voice and made us more patient centric, and it will continue to do that as we think about our goals for the next 3 years.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you. I'm honored to be on that board and help however I can. So thank you for that honor. I appreciate it, the ask and being on there. In your view, what is the most critical resources or types of support that patients with pancreatic cancer and their families need?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I would say, and maybe it's going to be a little corny, but I'm going to go back to this word hope. I really think hope, because you get that diagnosis, your head's spinning, you start Googling things, and you don't hear read great things. Um, and that's has been the case historically. It's gotten a lot better, as you know, but you need hope. You need hope and a positive outlook. And one of the things that we at Let's Win pride ourselves on is providing that hope, through inspiring survivor stories and in other ways. So I think hope, as hard as it is an essential resource that isn't a constant. It will wane, but it's like when the patient doesn't have enough hope, the caregiver gets in front of he or she and pulls them along, and sometimes it's the patient that is leading the way, and you sort of draft off each other's hope, if that makes sense, and work as a team. Um, I also think professionals, support network and professionals. Jackie wasn't interested in talking to coaches, um, but we really wish she had, because there's people out there who thought about this professionally and could help the patient psychologically. She was very close with a social worker, so that's a form of coach, but helping um, there are coaches out there and other support groups. And again, that's one of those points where we thought she should and she didn't want to, and we have to respect that. But I think it's really helpful, I think, to at least explore um, professional help. They're professional for a reason. Um, I'll stop there for a second, because I think you sounds like you wanted to. Yeah.
I was going to say I would probably agree with you, but again, I'm good at giving the advice, but not exactly taking it. For me, I think it was easier to talk to other survivors or patients going through it, because they could really understand what I was going through. And not to take anything from the coach, because yes, they can get you through certain things and help you out. But it would just seem to be, for me, it was just easier talking to somebody who knew exactly what I was going through, and not, I mean, I think it would be great if the coach actually had that experience and somehow, not maybe personally, but maybe with, somehow had that experience. But
Yeah.
so I can kind of understand, I think, how she felt in a way, because, like I said, it's something that I would, advise people. Yeah, if you need it, please go out and get it. But for me, it just seemed to work better talking to others who are going through the same thing, because you could understand and you could just really be very honest and say what you were going through, and get the help what you needed to get through that. So
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. Some of the coaches do, have that life experience also. But she also had a very close personal relationship with at least one other patient, and others that she met. And that was really helpful to her, because we can't possibly understand what the patient is going through. As much as time we spend with them, as much as we may know them, it's impossible, both physically and emotionally. And so to be able to talk to someone who understands that is and validate everything they're feeling and have a different kind of conversation is important. I think, and obviously not everyone has the benefit of family. We have benefit of a strong family, and really try to surround her with, I'll call it normalcy, as much as possible. That includes like the creature comforts of some items from home when she was in the hospital, and making sure that she feels supported. We were fortunate that in her last hospital stay, she was treated at Weill Cornell, but last hospital stay, she was up at a hospital closer to where my brother and I live. We live near each other up in Westchester, New York, and we were able to stay over in the hospital on alternating nights, So, you know, she wanted someone there, and we were fortunate to be able to, to spend that time with her. I'm not sure that's normalcy, but it is listening to what they need and doing everything you can within your means to provide that support.
Well, with this disease, there is no real normalcy. It's whatever you change. Your life changes, a new normal comes in, and that's what you have to do. So whatever it is, that's what's normal for you. Then that's what works, and that's the best thing to do. So I think you guys did the right thing. And I mean, everything changes. Your life changes. That this doesn't just affect us as the patient survivor. It also affects our family, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize until you really get into this disease, that how much it does affect the family. Did both families make great changes to accommodate Jackie and what she was going through?
Yeah, as much as we could. I mean, she stayed a lot with my brother. They had an extra room, so they've renamed it Jackie's room now. It was like a guest room, but she basically lived there for a lot of time. And she stayed with us at other times. We were able to adjust our own schedules to literally be there every day, and have our kids who are older, they're all in their 20s now, but to visit and have my parents visit. So, we're able to do everything we can to accommodate her wishes. And it's really important to know what is important to them. And I would also say, and this is, the tough part of it, to have those tough conversations around what is important to them, right? And that, of course, includes things like healthcare proxies and other things, but also just to really understand what they want, um, how they want to live. And obviously, we hope that's for a really, really long time. And it is for more and more patients. Um, but you never know. For any of us, you never know, right? And so it's important just to really understand what they want.
It is, and it makes things so much easier for all of you. That way you can spend the time that you need, with each other, not have to worry about that. Real quick, if you could just, looking forward, what would your goals be for Let's Win in dealing with families and patients?
Yeah. Yeah. So our goal at Let's Win is to be your guide to hope and action, to guide you to be the go-to guide with resources that are actionable, both for the patient and for the caregiver. I don't know. You can tell me because you've been in both roles whether the patient and caregiver is harder. I'm still going to go with the patient is harder, but they're different challenges. And so our goal is to provide vital information for especially newly diagnosed patients, but all patients, both in English and Spanish, and that is translating the latest science because the science is overwhelming. I don't have a mind for the science, and so we try to translate that sort of the lay language. Talk about the practical strategies that so many people came up with along the way, and also, as I said, inspiring stories because you need to see examples like yourself and so many other people who are doing well and doing important work. That's inspiring, and inspiration gives us energy, and energy, is life. So we want to be inspiring, but we also want to be actionable with resources that help people find the right experts, and also make it easier to get into clinical trials. So we do that now, and there's even more to come in our new strategic plan. Again, empowered or inspired by some of our conversations with the patient advisory board. So we're excited about the opportunities to reach as many patients as possible, provide that hope and that clear path for action.
Yeah, thank you. And I think Let's Win does an awesome job. And I love their website. When you first go on, the first thing you see are survivor stories. So it is very inspirational. I want to thank you for coming and joining us today. I know how difficult it is to share this, but it's important. As long as you speak my name, I shall live forever is dedicated to Jacqueline Hope Greenstein. Jackie is remembered for her spirit and profound love for her family and friends. She has embodied the word courage, facing her fears with unwavering bravery. Her legacy of inspiration continues to touch our lives daily. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. Thank you, everyone.
Well, there you have it. Another powerful reason to turn in each and every time. to this episode of Living Hope, a weekly journey where we design conversations around hope, inspiration, and education for those living with or dealing with pancreatic cancer. And if you know somebody that is living with it or dealing with it and you need help, lots of places to go. Let's suggest our organization today here. Let's Win Pancreatic Cancer. Let'sWinPC.org. Great place to start the journey and find out more about how you can walk this walk. We hope you join us as we continue to walk this walk and talk about this topic each and every week here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.